Huh? There. Oh. Huh? Durr.
Hey now, and welcome down to KC Toy Reviews. We are here today with Clown, The Madman Returns by SSR Studio, aka Frank Miller's Joker from The Dark Knight Returns. Probably one of the most influential and best comic series of all time, brought to us in 1/6 scale format right here in front of us with the Joker. Now, it's unfortunate to say, but I believe that this might be one of SSR's worst figures yet, and if you want to fine-comb those details with me and figure out why, well, let's hold each other's hands and dive right the hell goddamn in. Alright, so here we are with Clown the Madman Returns by SSR Studio. Now, I need to preface and start by saying I love SSR. I have multiple releases by them. The quality was great. The build was great. I truly love the presence on my shelf. However, with this release, we have taken a major step back. Now, I notice that the price point is wildly different from things I've paid in the past, so maybe they've cut a couple corners to try to hit that $180 to $200 price point, but unfortunate to say, it is paired with some major setbacks, and especially in the quality control department, we have some huge issues. Now, it also is a good time to push me to another rant. I see other reviews saying it is great, it's good, everything's great, the articulation's great. It's a good time to pause and say, within this community, the reviewers are starting to come across as just straight up goddamn liars. If you're trying to push these figures, if you're trying to make a buck, I mean, I get it, but let's not label your videos as a review, because it's not a review. It's a preview of the figure. You're not giving your honest review and feedback of the figure. You're just slightly grazing over everything so you can push more of these figures. Alright, so let's start with quality control right off the bat. And again, I apologize, we're just going to tear into this thing right away. If I pay $180 to $200, I do not expect anything to fall apart out of the box. And unfortunately, we had a lot of stuff falling apart out of the box. First thing being these tiny little buttons here. So you see these buttons kind of on the cuff of his arm here. These little things were falling off, and I have tons of them just like all over. So as you can see, I think this is the back side. You'd put the adhesive to this side, but they were just like all over in the box. So I don't know if there's supposed to be 3 of them, 4 of them. Unfortunate to say, again, I do think that things like this are unacceptable. Next up, I guess, well, I'll see if I can get it while we're in the shot. This fell apart right away. So the little teeth thing that winds up the teeth fell apart right out of the box. And it's cool, the teeth chatter and stuff. But we should not have these little microscopic pieces falling off. I just think it's unacceptable. You know, and as far as Joker goes, the teeth chatter are some of the most iconic pieces to have with him. Now, next up, if you've ever owned a Joker, and I mean this, if you've owned a Joker, and especially somebody that owns a lot of Jokers, hopefully you feel the pain of what I'm about to explain. Joker and canes are just the most pain in the ass thing ever. If I go through the display of all my Jokers, 30% of the time I see the canes falling over on the ground. And unfortunate to say, SSR, you've done us the same injustice. The cane shot that we see here is literally the only pose I could get it in. Now you might say, well, who cares, KC? Who cares? Well, what I'm talking about is right down, let me adjust the camera. So basically, right down to the exact bend that we have in this arm is the only position you can get this cane. And as we see here, it's actually almost hovering. See there, it's not even touching the ground. It's just slightly hovering over that bottom there. And as I said, well, you might say, well, who cares, Casey? Well, what if you wanted it, you know, at a stronger length? What if you wanted the bend a little bit more prominent? There should have been a hand designed specifically to grasp that cane versus what we have here. And sure, maybe you're going to say that, yes, this was designed for this cane, but it's just, you had to have it in really the perfect position to actually touch the floor and have it in a good position. And then secondly, if we show this here, you can kind of see it here. quality control. I have white lines like all over the cane here. So you can kind of see here I have these white scratches on the cane, and again, minor gripe, I can probably just take a Sharpie. It's more the principle. For $200, these things should be flawless. One more thing that we need to gripe on was the stand that is included had a giant bubble in it. This reminds me of the days where I used to work at a cell phone stores and I would put the screen protectors on and you'd have the big old bubbles in the screen protector. But unfortunately, again, I'm going to hammer in for shy of $200. I shouldn't be ironing out big bubbles in my stand as they come. Now you can't see it in shot, but there was just a big old bubble right in the middle here and I had to push it out with a credit card. And I don't know if it's just me, but I am really, really used to jokers coming with socks. I know it sounds like such a stupid thing, but obviously on this guy we do have no socks on here, and it sounds ridiculous, but there are a lot of companies out there that have included socks with their 1/6 scale jokers. Now, swinging right into the positive, well, for starters, we have a 1/6 scale stand. As we see in the front, we have the Joker plaque versus the company name. Yes, I've seen companies include their name on their stand, which is ridiculous. But no, we have a beautiful Joker plaque on front, and of course the ha-ha details on the top of the stand itself. Now, let's slowly start to make our way back up. As far as the detail in the paint scheme on these shoes, well, it's decent, nothing to complain about. Decent tailoring on the legs and the bottom half here has a good fit to it. And before we go right to the articulation, this is one of 6 hands. So we have 3 pairs of hands that came with this guy. This is the only hand that can hold a card. Very disappointed. I'm just very disappointed that you haven't given us multiple options of how to hold the cards. It sometimes comes across as dictation. Hey, you have to use this hand to hold the card and you have to use this hand to hold the gun. Give us multiple options. So as we start to look at the body here, as we said, arm-wise, they will not live past there. So boom. And there might be ways around it. Maybe if we push it to the side and we swivel it up. Sure, we'd have to jimmy the suit around a little bit, and there are ways to get that arm up. But unfortunately, this is a very stiff type of body that came with this. I'm pretty familiar with this body. If you check out my reviews, there's something that I have up called a ZC emulated 1.0 muscular body. This is most certainly not a World Box or a Fison body, unfortunately. And the reason I say that is SSR Studio. Oh, God, the hand came off. Let's go to that next. SSR Studio did use Fison bodies, and I probably would have paid extra money had you used a Fison body on this. We should note that we didn't need to do our tie. There are companies out there, Daft Toys, that are making us actually tie a 1/6 scale tie, which is ridiculous given the size of it. And of course, the look and contrast of the figure overall is ripped straight from Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns comic. And the reason I have it at this angle is I thought it was a good time to kind of bring up the extra head sculpt that comes with it. Now, this one does have the batarang that's jammed in the eye. Something worth noting, you can actually take the batarang out. I'm not sure why we went that route, why we would actually ever want to take it out of there. Maybe it was purely for shipping purposes, but we do actually have to jam that little piece in there. Just like a so. Now here's the thing. The head sculpt is the absolute shining star of this piece. It is fantastic. As you can see, there's a slight glisten inside the mouth there. Great shadowing underneath the eyes. I think one of the only complaints I had was on top of the head. I think there's some darker shadowing and lines in between the green could have been great. It's almost just like a pure matte green on top of the head. But from this view, the way the shadows hit it, the glisten to the laugh, it's just a fantastic, almost Hot Toys-ish quality head sculpt in my opinion. And just kind of one last spin on this one. Just great details. Overall, the paint scheme, the texture to the skin, the batarang in the eye. I am very impressed with this head sculpt. And I'm not going to spend too much time on it because it's very similar to the Laughing head sculpt as far as the hair structure and the look of it, the paint scheme. There's not too much different other than the menace and laugh. This one, as I mentioned, ripped straight from Frank Miller's comic, is a cool business look of Joker. Now, many people probably don't realize, but a lot of the movies that we're watching, especially anything made by Zack Snyder, is really based on a lot of Frank Miller's work. So whether it's this, Batman vs. Superman, a lot of the stuff that we've seen recently has been based on his work. And dare I say, the Jared Leto scenes in the piece of crap Suicide Squad film were probably loosely based off of Frank Miller's work as well, because it showed that mobster business-ish type Joker. And correct me if I'm wrong or if you think differently below. But again, swinging back to this look, I love it. And I think overall, I'm probably going to go with this look on my shelf because it is a rare look as far as Joker goes, in my opinion. The outer layer of his neck here is actually slightly ripped, exposing like a little wire or something. I don't know if you can kind of just see that right there to the left of the tie. Now, I feel bad again. I'm not trying to just destroy and bash this figure, but man, the quality control is just really disappointing. I just noticed this slight tear in the neck collar, and this thing is straight out of the box, unfortunately. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on the accessories, but I just wanted to give a quick glance as far as we get for hand pieces. As I mentioned, not too much choice to hold the cane. Very disappointing. Secondly, and I think people are probably going to go, who cares? Who cares, Casey? Same thing with the gun. There was only one choice to have this on the right hand. Now, what if I wanted it on the left hand while he was holding the cane? The thing that I got irritated at is the only hand to hold the gun was the right hand, and the only hand that I could get to hold the cane was the right hand. So it's like, well, now I can't really use the gun because I love having my Joker with canes. And hey, maybe that's a personal gripe and something you're saying, who gives a crap about? We did have the chatter in peace here. Mine came a little bit destroyed out of the box, unfortunately. And I guess, you know what? I'm in the mode. Everybody probably thinks I just complain all the time. It's like, okay, well, we have this cool bang mode, and yes, we plug this piece in. Probably did it off I shouldn't have done it off camera, but you plug this piece in just like this, but you have to keep it at this angle. Why? Because if I do it at another angle, it falls right out. And it's like, why would you make this so it had a little bit of a tug once you put it in there? So again, a little disappointed that this piece didn't stay in, but maybe you can classify that as a minor gripe. We do have the knife that came with it. Now, as far as the knife, very similar gripe. There is only one hand that can properly hold this knife. And you might say, well, who cares? They only need one hand. Well, that's probably no problem, but what if I wanted that hand for the gun? What if I wanted that hand for the cane? There was only one hand that could hold the cane and the knife, which was very disappointing. This little money stack was great. Fantastic detail. There are actually individual bills in here. Really cool little money stack. And then, of course, we have a Joker card that's included with every single 1/6 scale Joker in history. And then the cane. Again, I'm not going to go too much into it, but we have this odd scratch that came with my cane. Very disappointing given the price point. And then we have this bag here with these little tiny pieces. So for starters, I don't know what the hell these are other than replacement buttons for the arm. I mean, I don't want to sound like an a-hole, but did we know that the buttons were going to fall off the arm, so you gave us replacements? I'm very curious what the hell these were intended for. However, they sure as hell do look like the replacement buttons for the arm. All right, so as we start to round this out and slap a score on this guy, let's go over some final closing notes. And in reverse order, let's start with the good. For starters, the head sculpt, in my opinion, by SSR has entered the Hot Toys quality category. Which, keep in mind, SSR did choose the body, but they didn't create it. The tailoring is good, the head sculpt is good, I'm just not a fan of the body. But on top of that, the choice of hands that was included, in my opinion, was mismatched. I was only able to hold the cane with the right hand, I was only able to hold the gun with the right hand. And as far as the cards go, I was only able to hold those with the left hand. Now, at first glance, you might say, who gives a crap? When I was finagling and trying to find the right pose, it did bring up some frustration. I felt really limited to the poses that I could put for this guy. And as he spins in front of us, yeah, it looks great. But keep in mind, you are very limited due to the articulation of the body included and the hands included. Now, the stand looks great. The bubbles, man, SSR, they gotta stop. I've heard this from multiple reviewers and individual purchasers that have had your products that are getting bubbles in the bottom of their stands. There has to be a way to stop this. This is a part of quality control. Which is a great segue to mention, yeah, my cane was scratched. The gun, the bang piece that hangs out of the end kept falling out. And then the way the hands were pegged into the body overall, there were some slight quality control issues that had me very concerned. It's a good price point, don't get me wrong. This is around $200, but it should be flawless for that price point. And then, of course, lastly, let's just mention the tailoring. It's great. It's a very simplified, tailored suit that fits well. You see that muscular upper half that really represents the Joker straight from Frank Miller's comics. Now, one thing that I will stress on, the likelihood of anybody doing a Frank Miller's Joker for around $200 is slim to none. It could be years before you find one that's at a price point like this. So I think it's a good time to start to weave this into a score. Overall, great shelf presence, just a few drawbacks in the quality control and articulation areas. So I think where my heart is leaning on this as far as the score goes, well, unfortunately, it's going to be a little bit lower than the other SSR reviews that I've done, and this one's going to hone in at a 6.8 out of 10. Now, at a 6.8 out of 10 in the language of KC, I just want to stress it's not a piece of crap. I think I would still suggest this to the Joker enthusiast out there. However, if this is your first 1/6 scale Joker, I would be slightly reserved to say yes, go for this one above everything else out there. But for anybody that's a Dark Knight enthusiast from Frank Miller's amazing comic book line, well, this thing is a must-have, especially for the price point, because other than the figure in front of us, you would probably have a hard time finding a representation of this Joker for less than $400 to $500. Good tailoring, fantastic head sculpt, drawback on the articulation, some major quality control issues, but overall recommended for the Joker enthusiast out there. So that's going to be it for us here today at KC Toy Reviews. The Joker from one of the most influential comic books of all time, Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns. Catch you guys next time. White suit Joker. Not too many hand options, but still suggested if you like the Joker.